Yeah, let's go over that assignment from round one and kind of go over the answers. And this is something I hope everybody tunes in for these assignment reviews, because I'll come back to a lot of these concepts, not necessarily the same question, although I could. If everybody gets one wrong, for example, I may hit that same question again in another round or two. But a lot of these concepts are the same, and a lot of them I'll build on. For example, I think I've got one in here about the units. I think I do maybe in the next one, I'm sorry. But from units, then I'll go to sales, and from sales, then I might go to profit, where you keep adding, a step into calculating those types of things. So the other thing about assignments is deadlines are drop dead. Okay, I will not accept in this class. I know a lot of you are kind of accustomed to maybe getting away with turning in things a little bit late and whatnot. Can't do it. Everything's time sensitive here. Your guys' decisions are all going to be Monday night. I'm going to process the round Tuesday morning. I'll go over the round. I'll go over last week's assignment. I'll go over this week's assignment. If I've already gone over last week's assignment, I can't very well accept your answers, and yet I need to go over last week's assignment. I need to show you guys this stuff because, again, it'll help you. I hope it helps you doing some of these calculations and doing some of these questions in the future. So absolutely, time, get it in, or it won't be accepted. So here we go. Practice round one. The first one was, all else being the same, if Digby had not issued or sold stock, how would that have affected its EPS? And a decent number of you got this correct. Earnings per share would have increased. Absolutely. Okay. You've got, when you sell stock, you have more stock outstanding, right? It sold about 335,000 shares, if I remember. Let's say it sold 200,000 shares. That would have been about a 10% increase in number of shares outstanding, which would have, and this is really rough calculating, it's back of the napkin type stuff, but would have decreased its earnings per share by about 10%. So if it made $5, it would have only, if it would have made $5 with 2 million shares, it would have been about $4.50 roughly with 2.2 million shares outstanding. I did the math, though, and this is something you should take a look at, because it's something that I'll probably ask in the future. We'll see. Earnings per share, as is. So they made 6.6 million in earnings, and they had 2.335 million shares outstanding, so it made $2.84. Now, assuming that the earnings per share wouldn't have changed, and really there's not a lot that could have changed. They sold a decent number of shares, and so that contributed to its cash, and so that might have prevented it from getting an emergency loan, and so there might have been some positive things that contributed. Alternatively, it certainly could have borrowed money in place of that, and they'd had a little interest expense. Some of those would be minor. Okay, so this is kind of a big picture thing, but really they could have, and I'm not sure what kind of cash Digby ended up with. Let's go take a look. I'd have to go back to first round, then I'm in second round. Yeah, I can tell here, because if I come down to cash flow, right, Digby had a change in net cash of 15.5, and it still had 56. So Digby had 40 million roughly in cash. So it didn't even need to sell the stock last time, right? I think it sold $15 million in stock or something like that, and it had 40 million in cash at the end of the round. So, okay, anyhow, earnings per share without the stock sale, earnings would have stayed the same according to my question, but only 2 million shares outstanding, so it would have made $3.31 per share. So, roughly, what's that, 27? No, it's more than that, 47 cents, okay, difference in earnings per share. That's huge. That's a big deal. Okay, that's as an investor, when you look at that, the difference between a company making $2.84 per share or $3.31 is huge. It's absolutely gigantic as an investor. So I can't emphasize that enough. Something to always take into consideration is the shares outstanding. I'll talk about that theory a lot as we go along. I want to let's talk about earnings per share, and when I ask these questions, I'll ask a lot of them, okay? Go back to the basics, even if you have to look it up, Okay, look it up online, look it up someplace, and go back to your accounting book. You guys all kept your accounting book, I'm sure. And earnings per share, it is what it is, right? It's the amount of earnings that you have divided by the number of shares that are outstanding. Okay, ROE, ROA, ROS, RO anything is net income divided by whatever that is. So if it's ROE, it's net income divided by equity. If it's ROA, it's net income divided by assets. Okay, I ask a lot of questions about those things, and so look at them and think them through, and it'll help you get these questions correct. Okay. Number 2, Andrews required an emergency loan. What were the main factors that contributed to that necessity? Most of you did okay here. A lot of you got some, but maybe not the others. And I was really looking for the top 3 was fine, and I was kind of pretty soft about getting them in order or anything like that. But I think in order, the things that I saw were it had excess inventory. Okay. It had a lot of inventory that it didn't sell. It made huge plant improvements. Okay, that took a lot of cash. And it had debt retirement. It retired a decent amount of debt, and it also paid a dividend. Okay, those things were net cash drains. And you just look at the cash flow statement, and you look at the things that caused cash to go down. There they are. I think that's the top 4. There might have been some other smaller ones too. Maybe changes in accounts receivable, a few things like that were smaller that we could have put on there. Okay, but I kind of wanted the main, 2, 3. I think I said 3 factors, and so I put 4. Look at the cash flow. If I ask you a question about, cash, and in this case an emergency loan, which has to do with that, go look at the cash flow. 3, if you look at nothing but the report titled Selected Financial Statistics in the Courier, explain why Andrews had more net income than Baldwin, though it had less sales. Yes, I know that Andrews' EBIT is higher, but that's not the answer I'm looking for. No, I'm looking for, right, and I'll go back even. We'll go take a look at the round 1. Okay, and I'll show you. This one should have kind of been a slam dunk. I think, what was I comparing, Andrews and Baldwin? Yep. Okay. So Andrews had, $8.5 million in profit versus 6, even though Baldwin had more in sales. First thing I look for, contribution margin, right? First thing, 3.2% higher. Okay, take that times the sales roughly, and that's about $4 million maybe. Okay, and then a lesser 1.4% less SG&A has the same effect. You can take that times the sales, so about $1.5 million then. So $4.5 million. Okay, why is it only $2 million? You got to look at some other factors that could be involved there. It could be depreciation, could be interest. Interest was huge, right? Because Andrews had a emergency loan. So if I go down to the income statement, I'll bet you they paid a lot more interest. Cash flow, income statement, depreciation, interest, 7.1 versus 5.4, right? So that brought them down a little bit, or else Andrews would have had considerably more. And then they paid more taxes, of course, too, which kind of shrinks the difference a little bit. But the main thing are those, and it's why I tell you, really you kind of want to concentrate on those. You don't want to. You can concentrate on them to a fault. In other words, you can keep your prices high so you have a huge contribution margin, but that may adversely affect your sales, right? You can spend very little on SG&A, okay, your promotions and those things, and that might help this ratio, but you might not sell as much, okay? So you really have to be careful, but the idea that you can stretch these even a few percent, on either side, is huge to the bottom line. Okay, that's one of the things you should concentrate on tactically. Which team spent the most on plant improvements? What thing or things did that team invest in? It was Team Erie. Okay, and Team Erie introduced. I come down here and I'd have to go back to last round to show you, but this is what everybody started out with in terms of capacities: 1,800, 1,400, 9, 6, and 6. So it wasn't that they didn't increase capacity there, It didn't increase. This is what everybody started out with on automation, 45333. So that it didn't increase any automation. So the only other thing then has to be old E1 down here, and it obviously created a new product, bought capacity and automation for the new product, and so that is what it spent its money on in terms of the plant improvement. So there's the answers for practice round 1 assignment. You know, the responses were so-so. Don't be concerned, you know, about a score. It's going to take a while for you guys to get accustomed to the questions that I ask and how I'm asking them and what I'm looking for. And, you know, the assignments count for, I forget what it is, 30 or 40% of your overall grade. There's many other things that contribute to your grade, so it's really extremely important to do the assignments and do as well as you can, don't get me wrong. But not getting a great score on a few of them isn't going to throw you out of the class. So I don't want people to be overly, I want you to be concerned about it, but not overly concerned about these assignments. Thanks, and I'll talk to you about the next assignment soon here.